You were
The
warned.
desert
Now you answer
remembers
for it.
We
everything.
meant no harm. It was a mistake.
Every
a mistake that
footprint
cost us.
pressed
What
into
now?
its skin, every promise whispered under a burning sun, every betrayal buried beneath the sand. This is not just a story. It is a fate carved by fire, blood, and courage. If you love powerful stories that shake the heart and stay with you long after the screen fades to black, subscribe to our channel right now and share this story with your friends. Because what you're about to witness is not ordinary. It is destiny colliding with defiance. The day the Apache chief spoke those words, the wind itself seemed to stop. Choose one as your husband. The camp fell into a silence so heavy, it felt like the sky had lowered itself onto every shoulder present. She did not hesitate. Her finger rose, steady as an arrow drawn from a master's bow, and she pointed at the cowboy. The sun hovered mercilessly above the Apache camp, bleaching the earth into shades of bone and fire. Horses stamped restlessly at the edge of the clearing, sensing tension even before men admitted it. Warriors stood in a wide circle, their faces painted, rifles slung over shoulders, hands resting near knives worn smooth by years of use. At the center stood the chief, Tall Hawk, his hair streaked with gray, his eyes sharp as flint. He had led his people through wars, betrayals, broken treaties, and starvation. He did not speak lightly. Beside him stood his daughter, Naya. She was known among the Apache not just for her beauty, though that alone could silence a room, but for her spirit. She rode like the wind, hunted like a shadow, and spoke her mind even when elders frowned. Her eyes carried storms, dark, restless, unafraid. Today those eyes were calm, almost eerily so. Kneeling several steps away was the cowboy, Ethan Cole. His hands were bound, wrists raw from rope, his hat missing, his dusty blonde hair falling into his eyes. His shirt was torn at the shoulder, blood dried along the seam where a bullet had grazed him 2 days earlier. He had been found trespassing on Apache land, half dead from thirst, stubborn enough to still reach for his revolver even as he collapsed. Most men would have been executed, but fate, cruel and curious, had other plans. Tall Hawk's voice carried across the camp like thunder rolling off distant cliffs. He spoke of peace, of survival, of alliances forged not just by blood but by sacrifice. The tribe needed unity, they needed strength. And according to Apache law, when a woman of the chief's blood was wronged by the presence of an enemy among their people, balance had to be restored. Choose one, he said again, gesturing to the line of warriors standing proudly to Naya's left. Proven fighters, Apache men raised among their people. Safe choices. Naya did not look at them. Her gaze locked onto Ethan. The cowboy felt it before he saw it, the weight of her eyes, the way the air shifted. His heart hammered so loud he was sure everyone could hear it. She lifted her arm, pointed. Gasps rippled through the circle. Warriors muttered in disbelief. One stepped forward in protest, but Tall Hawk raised a hand. Silence returned sharper than before. "You choose the enemy?" the chief asked, his voice low, controlled, dangerous. Naya's chin lifted. "I choose the man who crossed death and lived," she said. "I choose the one the spirits delivered to us when the vultures were already circling." Ethan swallowed hard. He didn't understand the language fully, but he understood the direction of that finger, understood the way several rifles subtly shifted toward him. Tall Hawk studied his daughter as if seeing her for the first time. He searched her face for doubt. There was none. "So be it," the chief finally said. "If he survives what comes next, he will be your husband. If he fails, his blood will feed this land." That night, the camp buzzed with unease. Fires crackled as stories were whispered. Warnings passed like smoke from mouth to mouth. An outsider becoming the chief's son-in-law was unheard of. Dangerous. Some called it madness. Others called it a test sent by the spirits themselves. Ethan sat tied to a post near the edge of camp, staring into the flames. He'd survived gunfights, stampedes, and the cold loneliness of the frontier. But this was something else entirely. Footsteps approached softly. Naya stopped in front of him, the firelight painting gold along her cheekbones. For a moment, neither spoke. "You should hate me," Ethan finally said, his voice rough. "I'm the reason your people are angry." Naya met his eyes. "You are the reason they are afraid," she corrected. "There is a difference." She cut the rope, binding his wrists, with a knife so sharp he hadn't even seen it move. He stared at his freed hands in shock. "This does not mean you are safe," she said quietly. "Tomorrow you will be tested. Many men have died trying to prove themselves worthy of less." "Why me?" he asked. "You could have chosen anyone." For the first time, something flickered across her face. Not fear, not doubt. Recognition. "Because when you thought you were dying," she said, "you still tried to stand." She turned and disappeared into the darkness, leaving Ethan alone with a pounding heart and a future he never imagined. Dawn came cruel and fast. They sent him into the canyon with nothing but a knife and a skin of water. He was to track a mountain lion that had been killing their horses. Kill it and return before sunset. Fail, and he would not return at all. The canyon was a maze of stone and shadow. Ethan moved slowly, every sense screaming. He followed prints, studied broken brush, listened to the silence that meant a predator was near. Hours passed, the sun climbed, sweat soaked his shirt. Then he heard it, a low growl vibrating through the rocks. The fight was brutal, claws tore flesh, teeth came inches from his throat. Ethan drove the knife again and again until the animal finally collapsed, its weight crushing him into the dust. When he staggered back into camp at dusk, bloodied, limping, dragging the carcass behind him, the Apache warriors stared in stunned silence. Tall Hawk nodded once. The first test was complete. That night, Naya stood beside Ethan at the fire, not touching, not smiling, but not walking away. The desert watched, and it was not finished. The second trial was not announced. It came like betrayal always does, quietly from within. 3 nights after the mountain lion hunt, the camp was attacked. Not by soldiers, not by rival tribes, but by men who smelled of whiskey and greed. Ranchers, gunslingers, men who believed Apache land was empty land if no white man claimed it. Shots tore through the darkness. Screams followed. Horses bolted. Ethan woke to chaos. Without thinking, he ran toward the gunfire. He grabbed a fallen rifle, moving on instinct, placing shots where they mattered. He fought not as an outsider, but as a man defending something that mattered. He pulled wounded Apache children into cover. He stood back to back with warriors who hours earlier would have gladly slit his throat. And when one of the attackers aimed at Naya, Ethan stepped in front of her. The bullet tore into his side. He went down hard. Naya screamed his name. By dawn, the attackers were gone, leaving bodies and silence behind. Ethan lay unconscious in the healer's tent, fever burning through him. For 3 days he drifted between worlds, hearing voices, feeling hands press herbs to his wound, feeling Naya's presence like an anchor pulling him back. On the 4th day, he opened his eyes. Naya was there. "You're stubborn," she said softly. "The spirits do not know what to do with you." He tried to smile. Failed. "Guess I'm hard to get rid of." She took his hand. That simple act sent shockwaves through the camp. Tall Hawk watched from a distance. The people had seen everything. The way the cowboy fought, the way he bled, the way he chose them when escape had been possible. At sunset, the chief Cow led the tribe together. "This man came as an enemy," Tall Hawk said. "He stayed as a shield." He turned to Ethan. "Do you accept this woman, this people, and this land, not as something to conquer, but something to protect?" Ethan pushed himself to his feet, pain screaming through him. He didn't hesitate. "I do," he said, "with my life." Tall Hawk nodded, then looked at his daughter. Naya stepped forward. Her voice did not shake. I chose him before he proved himself, she said. Now the world has seen why. The marriage was not loud. It was sacred. Firelight, drums, prayers whispered to the ancestors. Ethan stood beside Naya, no longer bound, no longer a prisoner. He was home, but the desert never gives peace without a price. Far beyond the camp, men were already planning revenge, and destiny was still watching. The night after the ceremony did not bring rest. The desert never sleeps when destiny has unfinished business. Ethan woke before dawn, pain still stitched into his side like a reminder he hadn't earned peace yet. The camp was quiet, but not calm. Fires burned low, smoke crawling along the ground as if afraid to rise. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote cried, not hunger, but warning. Naya lay beside him, not touching, not distant either. Apache custom demanded space before the bond fully settled, yet her presence anchored him more than any rope ever had. Her eyes were open, fixed on the shadows beyond the tent. They will come again, she said softly. Ethan didn't pretend not to understand. The men from the ranch, and others, she added. Word travels faster than horses. A chief's daughter choosing a white man cuts many throats without a blade. He shifted, wincing. Then I'll stay ready. She finally looked at him, studying his face the way a tracker studies ground for signs others miss. You are already marked, she said, not by blood, by choice. Before he could answer, a horn sounded, short, sharp, urgent. Warriors moved instantly, no panic, no shouting, just motion, like a body responding to pain. Ethan forced himself up, ignoring Naya's hand pressing him back. You are not healed, she said. I didn't heal before the last fight either. That earned him the ghost of a smile. They emerged into the open as Tall Hawk stood at the center of camp, listening to a scout speak in hurried whispers. The chief's face remained stone, but his jaw tightened. Soldiers, Tall Hawk announced. Blue coats, many. A murmur spread. This was worse than ranchers. Soldiers meant orders, papers, justifications written far away by men who would never bleed here. They will say this land is no longer ours, one elder said. They always do. Tall Hawk's gaze slid to Ethan, not accusing, not trusting either. Measuring, Ethan stepped forward before anyone else could speak. Let me talk to them. Several warriors bristled, a rifle cocked. Naya turned sharply. No, they'll listen to me before they listen to you, Ethan said quietly. That doesn't make it right. It makes it true. Silence stretched. Tall Hawk finally nodded. You will not go alone. The soldiers arrived. At midday, a line of blue cutting across the sand like a wound. Their captain rode ahead, posture stiff, hand resting near his holster. He took in the camp with a practiced eye, counting weapons, measuring resistance. This territory has been reassigned. Ed, he announced loudly. You are to relocate by order of... Ethan stepped forward. I'm Ethan Cole, he said. This is Apache land. You know it. Your maps know it, even if your mouths pretend otherwise. The captain's eyes narrowed. You married into them, yes. That caused a stir among the soldiers. Some looked uneasy, others amused. You're choosing the wrong side, the captain said. Ethan shook his head. I chose a home. The captain sighed as if disappointed. Orders stand. We move at dawn tomorrow. Anyone still here will be removed. Tall Hawk stepped beside Ethan, tall, unbowed. This land remembers our names, he said. It will remember yours too. The soldiers left, dust rising behind them like a threat that hadn't finished speaking. That night, the council argued deep into the dark. Some wanted to flee, some wanted to fight. All knew the cost either way. Naya stood when the voices grew too loud. She didn't shout. She didn't need to. They expect us to run, she said, or die loudly so they can justify it later. We will do neither. Eyes turned to her. We move, she continued, but not away. We move where they cannot follow easily. The old canyon, the one even our enemies fear. A pause. Tall Hawk nodded slowly, the canyon of broken echoes. Ethan felt a chill. He had heard whispers about it from trappers. Narrow passes, sheer drops, places where sound lied and men vanished. At first light, they packed quickly. No ceremony, no grief, just survival sharpened into motion. The canyon swallowed them by noon. Walls rose like jaws, shadows cutting the heat into strange shapes. The air felt wrong, thick, heavy, expectant. Horses snorted, uneasy. Halfway through, the ambush came. Not soldiers, Apache, a splinter group. Men who had never accepted Tall Hawk's leadership, who believed Naya's choice cursed them all. Shots rang out. Arrows followed. Chaos snapped tight and vicious. Ethan moved without thinking, dragging a child out of the line of fire, returning shots with deadly precision. He saw Naya leap onto a rock, commanding warriors with hand signals faster than words. Then he saw the blade. A traitor rushed her from behind. Ethan screamed her name. He reached her too late. Steel flashed, blood spilled. The world slowed, narrowed, burned. Ethan tackled the man, fists breaking bone, rage tearing through him until others pulled him back. The traitor lay still, unmoving. Naya collapsed, time shattered. He caught her before she hit the ground, hands shaking, heart hammering so hard it hurt. Blood soaked his arms. "No," he whispered. No, stay with me." Her eyes fluttered, focused on his face. "You found me again," she breathed. "Don't talk," he begged. "Please." She smiled faintly. "You chose well. Husband." He pressed his forehead to hers, tears cutting paths through dust and blood. "I'm not losing you. I won't." They carried her deeper into the canyon. Soldiers forgotten, traitors dead, destiny tightening its grip. As the healer worked through the night, Ethan stood guard at the mouth of the canyon, rifle in hand, eyes burning toward the darkness. He understood now. This wasn't about land, or war, or tribes. It was about what a man was willing to become when love chose him first. And Ethan Cole was done running.